After our marriage, my husband fell in love with another woman. At my mother's funeral, my husband, arm in arm with an influencer artist, publicly announced their relationship to the world. Meeting, I finally understood the kind of wife I truly desired, an elegant, romantic, modern woman with an artistic soul. Not like you, a vulgar provincial. He threw the divorce agreement in front of me. I was still reeling from the grief of losing my mother, feeling as if the world was spinning. I begged him to accompany my mother on her final journey, but he refused. No, Skylar wants it to be today. That's the only way to prove my love for her. He had no idea that in the art scene, I was known as the of contemporary. My works could capture souls, striking directly at the heart. For the first time, Daniel felt like a stranger, yet we once loved each other so deeply. Many people attended the funeral. Daniel, with Skylar in his arms, ignored my pain and despair. Sign it, Grace. Stop clinging to me. I clutched the divorce agreement so tightly that the edges cut into my palm, though I barely felt it. Daniel impatiently tapped the table, his voice sharp. What are you waiting for? Today is my mother's funeral. Daniel, do you really have to do this? I said, weeping. 18-year-old Daniel's love for me was fervent and sincere, but 28-year-old Daniel was callous and cruel to me. Daniel sighed. I love Skylar deeply. It's only with her that I feel truly alive. Back then, I thought I loved you, but now I realize it was just an illusion, the foolishness of youth. He turned to look at Skylar, his gaze full of an unmistakable tenderness and affection. Grace, you lost your father young and grew up poor. Even if you were a bit better academically, you'd still just be a small-town academic, without a shred of artistic talent. Skylar is different from you. She's elegant, beautiful, and incredibly talented. She's the one who should be my wife. Skylar, having heard this, proudly lifted her chin. She leaned her head on his shoulder, looking down at me condescendingly. Her eyes held a smile, as if she were watching an amusing farce unfold. The guests attending the funeral all turned to look. Their gazes pierced me like countless needles, making it almost impossible to breathe. Someone whispered, "Young Daniel is cruel, but there's nothing to be done. They're just not a good match." Grace is pitiful, but isn't it true that pity often comes with something to hate? How did a maid's daughter manage to get into the master's bed? TSK. I trembled all over. I had heard such gossip countless times since I started dating Daniel. At first, he would stand by me and defend me. Later, he grew increasingly impatient. Whenever I complained, he would say, "If you choose to be with me, you're destined to endure these rumors." I stared hard at Daniel. Then, without hesitation, I signed my name. Seeing me do this, Daniel's expression was rather strange. He wasn't as happy as I'd expected. Instead, he seemed to feel a tightness in his chest. "Fine, if that's what you want." Skylar was beaming happily. "Daniel, now that this is settled, let's go. We still have Master's art exhibition to prepare for." "Master?" I suddenly looked up. Through blurry tears, I saw Skylar and Daniel intimately close. I suddenly laughed. As I laughed, tears streamed down my face. It hurt as if my heart had been gouged out. I finished handling my mother's funeral alone. 3 days later, Daniel's group chat with his friends suddenly became lively. It was then I remembered I hadn't left the group chat. Since and I were divorced, there was no need for me to keep in touch with the people around him. Just as I was about to press confirm, a message popped up. "So, you really got divorced?" It was a private message from Sage. Amongst circle of friends, Sage was the quietest, yet the only heir whose status was equal to Daniel's. I believed I had no real connection with Sage. I rarely attended their usual gatherings, but coincidentally, Sage was always at the gatherings I did attend. I politely replied, "Yes, we're divorced." The other end kept showing typing. After a long pause, a new message came through. "Good. He's not good enough for you." I looked at the message with some surprise. The others in the group chat were still celebrating, except for Sage. Everyone else was cheering for Daniel finding his true love. Exactly. How could young Daniel's wife be a maid's daughter? Only a well-bred young lady like Skylar is a match for Daniel. Grace always looks so miserable. You'd think she was a tragic drama heroine. So unlucky. Someone reminded them that I was still in the group chat, but they only grew more boisterous. Until intervened. "Everyone, shut up." The group chat fell silent for a moment. Daniel, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. Sage, what the hell is wrong with you? I stopped reading and left the group chat. I didn't know that after I left. Sage cursed at Daniel a few times, then also left the group chat. My divorce from Daniel went smoothly. He wasn't short on money and gave me almost all of our communal assets. He only kept our marital home. Of course, our communal assets were a mere drop in the ocean for the entire Vance. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so generous. The day we went to pick up our divorce papers, I asked him, "Why do you want this villa?" My voice trembled slightly. I naively thought that perhaps he still held a sliver of affection for me, but to my surprise, he just chuckled indifferently. I couldn't help it. Skylar felt uncomfortable, and she wanted to destroy everything about our past together. Saying this, he raised his phone. On the phone, there was a video of the villa where I had lived for 5 years being demolished and collapsing. Around it, dust billowed. Skylar, wearing a white hard hat, walked out from behind the camera. Excellent. All those disgusting memories are gone with the wind. My heart skipped a beat. In that second, the wind picked up. The breeze swept fallen leaves onto my face, carrying a hint of coolness. Yet it cleared my muddled mind instantly. The villa I'd lived in for 5 years. A place that had witnessed countless moments of love and resentment between Daniel and me. It was also where I hid my paintbrushes. Trapped for 5 years in the daily grind. Now it was gone. The shackles on me felt as if they had shattered. I had never felt so light. Heh, congratulations. I let out a low laugh and handed the phone back to Daniel. His pupils flickered, staring at me in disbelief. He probably thought I'd cry and make a scene after seeing the video. Seeing my reaction, he actually seemed a little hurt. "Don't you have anything to say?" "What should I say?" I looked at him calmly. Daniel stared at me, as if trying to see through my act. He suddenly chuckled. "You're quite the actress now. See, I just hate this hypocritical side of you. You're nothing like Skylar. She dares to love and dare to hate." I nodded. Then I swung my hand and slapped him. Under his shocked gaze, I grabbed my handbag and hit him in the face with it. The chain strap of the handbag cut Daniel's forehead, drawing conspicuous blood. I laughed mockingly. "How about that? Is this the dare to love and dare to hate you wanted?" Daniel staggered back half a step, clutching his head. Blood trickled down from his brow. He stared at me, unable to react for a long moment. He hadn't expected that Grace, who had always been so cautious around him, would actually lay a hand on him. "Grace, what the hell is wrong with you?" His voice was tight, but he wasn't angry. It was more confusion and helplessness. His gaze instinctively swept over me, as if checking if I was hurt anywhere. In those few seconds of hesitation, Skylar had already rushed over. She shrieked curses at me. "How dare you hit him, you shrew? Daniel gave you all that money. What else could you possibly be dissatisfied with?" I swept a cold gaze over her and turned to leave. Just then, a car pulled up in front of me. The window lowered, revealing Sage's distinctly chiseled profile. "Get in." I didn't hesitate, striding towards it. Daniel, however, suddenly rushed over to block me, his tone tinged with an inexplicable jealousy. "When did you two get so close? Does it concern you?" I glanced at him, my gaze as calm as still water. Daniel's Adam's apple bobbed. He watched my retreating back, his chest heaving violently. Skylar frowned, sensing something was wrong. She stepped forward and tugged on Daniel's hand. "Daniel, forget about her. Aren't we supposed to go get our marriage license?" "Marriage license?" My hand on the car door handle froze. "Oh, great. Divorce and marriage on the same day, how impressive." I scoffed and got into Sage's car. As I closed the door, I caught sight of Daniel, his brow furrowed, his eyes fixed on me. He seemed not to hear even Skylar urging him to get the license. Sage floored the accelerator, and the car sped away. In the car, Sage suddenly spoke. "You hit him very well earlier." I paused, then pointed at myself in disbelief. Sage chuckled softly. "Daniel is no good. He should have been beaten a long time ago." "But aren't you friends?" I asked. "Who said that?" "He and I were never friends." I returned to my rented small apartment. After dinner, I lay on the sofa, playing on my phone. I unintentionally scrolled through Skylar's social media. She had just posted an update. "Daniel said he's going to buy the most expensive painting for me at Masters exhibition. And he also said, some people don't even know what art is." Many online users commented below. "Ha ha ha ha. Some people" refers to Mr. Daniel's ex-wife. "Right? That provincial woman? What would a maid's daughter know about art?" She probably doesn't even know who the art world's sensational new star has been these past few years. I turned off my phone, picked up my paintbrush, and dipped it in ink. The brush tip touched the paper, swiftly outlining fluid contours. In the painting, a woman stood on shattered bricks and tiles, covered in blood. Yet her smile was radiant. I named this painting Dust to Dust. I didn't finish until very late. After washing up, my university classmates' group chat became lively. Many people tagged me, insisting that I attend the upcoming class reunion. I agreed. The class reunion was held a few days later. When I arrived, many people were already there. Even, who had no connection to our school, was there. She sat close to Daniel. Seeing me, she looped her arm through Daniel's, silently showing off. My classmates waved me over. I nodded, taking a step to move away from the two of them, but that one glance made me spot a silver gleam on Skylar's wrist. It was my most precious creative tool. My mother had paid a fortune to have someone buy it from abroad 10 years ago. Since my mother's health declined, I was busy caring for her and had little time to paint, so I put it away. After my mother passed away, there were so many things to handle that I couldn't find the paintbrush for a while. Yet now, it lay in Skylar's hand, being casually twirled around as if it were a mere accessory, catching my gaze. She smiled sweetly. "Ms. Grace, Daniel gave me this pen. He said only someone artistic like me is suited for this pen." Skylar didn't particularly like the pen. She just liked taking things. My breath caught, and I abruptly turned to look at Daniel. He shrugged. "This paintbrush is quite good." Skylar liked it, so I gave it to her. Someone who can't paint has no use for it anyway. Daniel actually knew I liked to paint, but he always thought I was just dabbling. The brush was actually no longer suitable for painting. It was old and losing its bristles, but it held immense significance for me. My eyes read. I looked at Skylar and extended my hand. "Give it back." Skylar thought for a moment, then gave a sly smile. She slowly stood up and offered the pen. The moment I reached for the pen, she suddenly stumbled, falling forward. The pen slipped from Skylar's hand and flew through the air. Gasps erupted from the people around us. I instinctively bent down to catch it, but then Skylar, who hadn't fully regained her balance, seized the opportunity to push me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Daniel, horrified, rush forward to catch me, but he suddenly stopped. That push sent me sprawling to the ground. My head hit the cold marble, leaving me dizzy and disoriented. The old paintbrush rolled into a crevice by the table leg, its bristles scattered, its shaft broken. My heart skipped a beat. Skylar's voice reached my ears. "Oh, it was an accident. I'm so sorry." My hands trembled as I picked up the pen. "The brush is broken." Daniel's eyes darted away. Don't take it too hard. Skylar didn't mean it. I'll buy you a new one." I stood up, slowly turning to look at Skylar. She blinked innocently. "It's just a pen. Why are you looking at me like that?" I smiled. The next second, I lunged forward, grabbed her head, and slammed it against the wall. Again and again. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of her head hitting the wall, mixed with Skylar's screams, echoed in the private room. Everyone was dumbfounded. Daniel, pale-faced, finally reacted and pulled me away. "Are you crazy? Are you trying to kill her?" "Yes, I am going to kill her," I shrieked, my voice hoarse. My classmates were terrified, covering their mouths, afraid to speak. Skylar slumped to the floor. When she looked up, everyone saw her face was covered in blood. She was petrified, repeatedly yelling, "Help! Help!" I swept my gaze around, met their monstrous stares, and ran out of the private room. I thought Daniel wouldn't let me off easily after the class reunion incident, but for several days, Daniel made no move. I did hear that Daniel and Skylar had their most intense argument yet, but they reconciled quickly. My new art exhibition began. That day, the exhibition hall was packed with people, both inside and out. Skylar, in a lavish gown, walked into the exhibition arm in arm with Daniel, a bandage still wrapped around her forehead, looking somewhat out of place, instantly drew countless stares. Seeing these strange looks, she hated me even more. She secretly thought, once she married into the Vance estate, she would never let me off. Skylar stopped in front of a painting, smirking. "Daniel, look at this painting. Isn't it interesting? Master is my best friend," she said. "This painting, Rainy, was created for me." Skylar's voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for those around to hear. Many people cast envious glances her way. Daniel looked at her with satisfaction. Darling, no wonder your painting skills improved so quickly. So Azure is your best friend. Why didn't you ever mention it before? I just didn't want people to think I was riding on her coattails. Skylar pouted playfully. I stood by the monitor, scoffing aloud. Skylar really had no shame, but they believed her. Daniel's fairweather friends all began flattering Skylar. Just then, a reporter quietly told a colleague, I heard Master is here tonight and willing to make a public appearance. Skylar and her group naturally overheard. A flicker of panic crossed Skylar's eyes. The reason she dared to openly pretend to be my best friend was precisely because I never showed my face. How could anyone truly know about someone who never appeared? Skylar could say whatever she wanted. Daniel excitedly tugged on Skylar's sleeve. Darling, remember to introduce me later. It would be best if Master could be the brand ambassador for Vance's new products. Daniel's eyes were gleaming. He had planned it out perfectly. Master herself possessed immense commercial value. If Azure could be invited to endorse Vance's new products, it would undoubtedly generate immeasurable commercial profits for the Vance. Skylar feigned composure. Okay. I'll put in a word for you later. She was panicking inwardly. The other Fairweather friends also clamored for Skylar to introduce them. Skylar was cornered and couldn't back down, so she had to reluctantly agree. But soon, she had another thought. At worst, she could just say later that Master was reclusive and didn't like to socialize with strangers. That way, she could not only smooth things over, but also enhance her own value. After all, she was Master's favored best friend. With that thought, Skylar grew confident, straightening her back. Soon, the host walked onto the stage. Let's welcome Master, the of contemporary, Ms. Grace. In that moment, the exhibition hall fell eerily silent. The smile on Skylar's face froze. The champagne flute in her hand slipped, spilling wine onto her beautiful gown. Daniel was stunned for a few seconds. Then his eyes widened. He murmured, "No way. Could it be someone with the same name?" One of Daniel's friends chimed in. It must be someone with the same name, right? Otherwise, it couldn't be that provincial woman, could it? Yeah. I was startled for a moment. What a cheap trick for that shrew, to share a name with Master. Hearing this, Skylar also breathed a sigh of relief. Her expression softened considerably, and she raised the half-empty champagne flute to her lips, but her hand was still trembling slightly. She turned to explain to Daniel, Daniel, what are you thinking? How could my best friend be some country bumpkin? Daniel nodded. Yet, an inexplicable unease lingered in his heart. He remembered me often closing myself in my bedroom to paint. Back then, he always complained that I was not doing anything productive and not focusing on my studies. Later, to care for my sick mother, I gradually put down my paintbrush. As for my works, of course, he had never seen them. He wasn't interested, and disdained even looking. Skylar even took the time to send me a message. Grace, you provincial woman, you probably don't know Master, right? Hee. Daniel said he's going to propose to me today at Master's exhibition. Just then, a commotion arose at the exhibition hall entrance. Everyone's gaze turned towards it. I walked out from the backstage area, wearing a wine-red elegant evening gown. The spotlight shone on me, clearly pulling me from the shadows into everyone's view. In that moment, the entire exhibition hall was so silent that even gasps were clearly audible. I walked onto the stage in high heels. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Skylar and her group almost turn to stone. Daniel was even more theatrical. What are you doing here? He tried to rush forward. He was quickly stopped by bodyguards, restrained, and held motionless. The host, accustomed to grand events, handed me the microphone without a change in expression. Welcome, our Master, Ms. Grace. The entire hall was deadly silent. Quite a few people present had heard about the love triangle between Daniel, Skylar, and me. Many had previously said I wasn't good enough for Daniel, and deserved to be discarded by him. Now, suddenly realizing that the great artist they admired so much was the very person they had once looked down upon, how could they easily accept that? I took the microphone. Hello everyone. I am the creator of this exhibition, Master. Hearing this, Skylar could no longer hold the champagne flute in her hand. It crashed to the floor with a clatter. Glass shards splattered onto her calf, making tiny cuts. But she was completely oblivious. Impossible. You're not Master. The scene erupted. It's actually her. Mr. Daniel's ex-wife. Wasn't she just a provincial woman? How could she? Master is so beautiful. Daniel's friends, The very people who usually looked down on me the most were practically losing their minds. They shouted and screamed, ignoring the security guards. They insisted I was an imposter, claiming I was just trying to get attention. The host's face darkened. Calmly, I took a painting from a staff member. It was Rainy, the very painting Skylar had critiqued. I looked directly at Skylar and smiled faintly. Ms. Skylar, I heard Rainy was created for you? How is it that I, the artist, don't know about it? Skylar's lips trembled, unable to utter a single word for a long time. Rainy was projected onto the large screen. I pointed at the woman holding an umbrella in the painting. Only one of the woman's eyes was visible, the other hidden by her hair. The large screen continuously zoomed in on the woman's eye. Only then did everyone clearly see a tiny figure reflected within it. My voice was calm. This is my mother, and reflected in her eye is my childhood self. My mother had her left eye surgically removed due to illness and wore an eye patch for years. A stir went through the audience. Someone couldn't help but exclaim, "So that's it." Skylar's face had turned ashen white. She instinctively wanted to flee, but Daniel tightly gripped her wrist. Daniel's expression was incredibly complex. His eyes held bewilderment, shock, regret, and deep self-doubt. One of Daniel's buddies, hot-tempered, seeing this, what more was there for him not to understand? He forcefully shoved Skylar, shouting, "Didn't you damn well say you knew, Master?" Skylar, that's disgusting. Skylar's lips trembled. Daniel, I'm not. Skylar was crying, tears and snot streaming down her face, but didn't even notice her. At that moment, Daniel's eyes were solely on me, barely concealing his astonishment and admiration. He had never seen me like this, so confident and dazzling. No, that wasn't right. He had seen it. When I first moved into the Vance estate with my mother, though I was small, I was exceptionally eye-catching, not in a nation-toppling beauty way, but rather an inherent wildness and infectious optimism that was especially captivating. 2. I was like a mountain sprite back then, only later, the sprite was trapped in a small courtyard, covered in dust. Giggles echoed through the exhibition hall. Oh, I heard it too earlier. Someone was calling her best friend again and again. I even envied her. Turns out she wasn't a best friend, but a love rival, truly worthy of being the other woman. Her morals are shattered. Skylar's face had completely lost all color. Daniel stared at me, struggling to move. Grace, why did you never tell me? I didn't answer him. Instead, I picked up the microphone, my voice firm. Today, I also have an announcement to make. Everyone held their breath. I announced that Vance will permanently be removed from my list of collaborators. Camera flashes flickered madly. Having said that, I turned and walked towards the backstage area, leaving behind a hall full of commotion. Sage was already waiting for me backstage. I smiled and greeted him. I only found out a few days ago that Sage was my biggest fan. Several times, when I lost inspiration or felt I couldn't go on, it was Sage, disguised as an online user, messaging me privately backstage to comfort me. And several years ago, when I couldn't afford to hold an art exhibition, he was the mysterious investor who offered to fund it. I can say that without Sage, I wouldn't be where I am today. Seeing I was thinly dressed, Sage turned to the green room to get me a jacket. Just then, Daniel caught up. He was breathless, his face showing a panic and humility I had never seen before. Grace. His voice uncontrollably trembled. How can you be, Master? I looked at him as if he were a stranger. Daniel cautiously reached out to take my hand. I recoiled as if from the plague. His hand froze awkwardly in midair, a flicker of hurt in his eyes. This is also your fault. If you had told me earlier, I wouldn't have. What? Are you saying it's still my fault? I truly laughed out of sheer exasperation. Daniel was speechless, wanting to retort but finding no words. Countless images suddenly flashed through his mind, me, alone in a small room painting, and him mocking me from outside, saying I had no artistic talent and shouldn't bother, me wanting to show him my work, and him impatiently saying he wasn't interested, me putting down my paintbrush to care for my sick mother, and him, for once, praising me for finally being sensible. Had he been so incredibly wrong all these years? I didn't know. Grace, I'm sorry. Daniel's voice was barely audible. I looked at him directly, offering no reply. Of course, I couldn't possibly forgive him. Before she passed away, my mother had wanted to see her son-in-law. That day, I called him countless times, but he never answered. I later learned he was having a candlelight dinner with Skylar that day. Daniel clearly saw the hatred in my eyes for him. "You hate me?" "Yes," I said, my tone indifferent. "Why?" "We just got divorced, and I practically left with nothing." Even if I was wrong, it wasn't unforgivable. "You are unforgivable." I looked at him coldly. Daniel's face was chalk white. He felt his heart skip a beat. Just then, Sage walked out from the end of the corridor. He draped a jacket over my shoulders. "It's getting colder. Don't catch a chill." Sage's tone was naturally intimate. Daniel's gaze instantly changed, fixed intently on Sage. "Sage, do you know what you're doing? I'm very clear, you didn't know how to cherish her. So I will." Sage was unyielding. Daniel flew into a rage, raising his fist to strike. I quickly stepped in front of Sage. The fist abruptly stopped. Both and Daniel were startled. Sage quickly pulled me behind him, his voice urgent. "Are you all right? Don't ever do anything so dangerous again. I can't let you get hurt because of me." I spoke, looking at us. Daniel's eyes turned red with fury. Any guilt he had about almost hurting me instantly vanished, replaced by furious betrayal. Daniel's eyes widened, bulging with rage. "Sage, don't you damn well know that a friend's wife is off limits? You're divorced, and I liked her before you did." Sage looked at him coldly, under his bewildered gaze. Sage continued, "If it weren't to be closer to Grace, I would never have been friends with you." At these words, not only Daniel but even I was stunned. I later learned that Sage was a true art fanatic. He developed feelings through art, immersed himself in it. What he loved was the soul of the one wielding the brush. Sage looked down at me, like the most devout worshipper, gazing upon a revered deity. Skylar, in tears, caught up to us just then. Outside, she had been practically lambasted by everyone. She understood that she was now thoroughly disgraced, completely ruined. Seeing the three of us, her face grew even more unsightly. "Daniel, let's go. I don't want to stay here anymore." She tried to link her arm through Daniel's as usual. Daniel forcefully shook off her hand. "Get lost." Skylar looked at Daniel in disbelief. She firmly believed Daniel was utterly captivated by her, even if he knew she had lied. He shouldn't treat her like this. Daniel didn't look at her. He only looked at me. "Grace, can we start over? Skylar and I never got our marriage license. I never really intended to marry her." I frowned at him. Skylar went ballistic. "Daniel, what nonsense are you spouting? Didn't you say you planned to propose to me today? You love me. Propose? Heh, of course. I was just stringing you along." Daniel's voice was frighteningly cold. Skylar listened blankly, then suddenly laughed. A hysterical laugh. "Daniel, what excuses are you making? You just think I'm not as good as Grace now, and you're weighing the pros and cons and choosing to abandon me, aren't you? If we're still the unassuming woman she was before, you'd never dare treat me this way? But her accusations were cut short by a slap from Daniel. "Shut up. If it weren't for you, you bitch, how would she have left me?" Daniel roared through gritted teeth. Saying this, he turned back to me, glaring at Sage's hand on my shoulder. He was so full of regret. Not everything Skylar said was true. He had indeed been hesitant about marrying Skylar. He disliked that I couldn't bring him prestige, yet he couldn't completely let go of our past together. So, when Skylar suggested destroying the marital home, he agreed, not just to please Skylar, but also to harden his own heart and truly let go. Skylar covered her face, tears streaming down. "You, Daniel, you hit me?" The commotion at the green room entrance attracted many onlookers. Even many reporters arrived. Camera flashes popped continuously. "Mr. Daniel, did you really divorce Master? Mr. Daniel, Master is so outstanding. Why did you cheat? MS. Skylar, why did Mr. Daniel hit you just now? Was it due to a relationship dispute?" The questions came one after another, sharp and direct. Skylar was terrified and instinctively hid behind Daniel, but mercilessly pulled her out. Seizing the moment, Sage took my hand and led me away from the crowd. Daniel tried to follow, but was blocked by the onlookers. Reporters, naturally unwilling to miss such a good opportunity, shoved microphones in front of him. Daniel could only stand there helplessly, watching Sage and my backs disappear from view. After this incident, I became incredibly famous. The media reported extensively on everything related to me, from the despised maid's daughter to the of contemporary. Overnight, I became an idol revered by countless people. But life took a turn for the worse. Due to my permanent refusal to collaborate statement, Vance's stock plummeted, and many partners clamored to terminate their contracts. His so-called friends also broke ties with him. Some even began to speak up for me, while others privately mocked him for his blindness. Even worse was Skylar. At the art exhibition, her public image completely crashed. Her best friend claim became the biggest joke on the entire internet. Moreover, enthusiastic online users dug up her past works, revealing suspicions of forgery and plagiarism. She was disgraced and universally condemned. Skylar had no choice but to try and seek help from Daniel, but she couldn't even get to see Daniel. Meanwhile, Daniel began his so-called chasing his wife's heart quest. Every day, he waited outside my apartment. He'd bring flowers, breakfast, or various little trinkets I once liked. But I never softened. One day, he stood outside my art studio, holding flowers, enduring the rain all night. It was winter then. The next day, when I left, I saw him stiff with cold, barely alive. As he was being put into the ambulance, I heard his hoarse voice. "Grace, forgive me. Please give me another chance. Okay? Daniel, do you know why my artist name is Master?" I looked at him, my voice soft, yet it felt like a dull knife slowly carving into his flesh. My family was very poor when I was little, and we couldn't afford new toys. To cheer me up, Mom found a little teal bird from a thrift store. Mom said that the teal bird would bring happiness to kind people. I paused, my gaze falling on his pale, pained face. Later, I taught myself to paint, and the first piece I ever created was of that teal bird. I called it The Bird, hoping that one day, I could bring happiness to Mom and help her heal. The ambulance doors slowly closed, the glass separating us. I watched the light in his eyes shatter bit by bit. "Daniel, you almost killed that teal bird with your own hands." In that moment, Daniel and I both knew it was truly over between us. Daniel lay on the stretcher, his eyes dull and lifeless, like a puppet with its soul drained. 6 months later, my new art exhibition opened. This time, I didn't invite the media. I simply exhibited my work quietly. On the first day of the exhibition, Daniel arrived. He had lost a lot of weight, and an air of desolation clung to him. He stood before the painting, dust to dust, unable to tear his eyes away. It was the first piece I created after my mother's death, a reflection of myself. The painting depicted me standing amidst shattered bricks and tiles, covered in blood, yet smiling brightly. "Grace." He looked at me, his eyes red-rimmed. "You survived the ruins, while I was the one who pushed you into the abyss." I said nothing. He continued, his eyes pleading. "I've donated a lot of money and established a young support. I hope to help more people. I know that perhaps none of this can make up for the harm I've caused you, but I will continue doing it." I looked at him, my voice calm. "Yes, they will thank you." Daniel nodded, sobbing uncontrollably. Skylar was completely blacklisted from the art scene. Her former friends and admirers quickly distanced themselves from her. She tried to start a live stream to make money, reasoning that even negative attention counted as traffic. But her reputation was so abysmal that the screen was filled with insults. Eventually, even her live stream channel was reported and taken down. With no other options, she left the city, vanishing completely from the public eye. A year later, my art exhibition was held in Paris. It was my first overseas exhibition, and unexpectedly, it was incredibly popular. After the exhibition, Sage knelt on one knee beneath the Eiffel and proposed to me. "Grace, from the moment you painted your first piece, I knew you belonged on a grander stage. You were destined to shine brightly, beyond compare. I want to be the one who always stands behind you, supporting and protecting you until my dying day." I looked at him, slowly extended my hand, and took the ring. Over the past year, Sage had been by my side. At first, I kept avoiding him. His love was too passionate, too overwhelming. It frightened me, but was simply too good. He never spoke much, only appearing quietly whenever I needed him. He respected me, understood me, and cherished every moment we spent together. "Sage, I will marry you," I said, my eyes brimming with tears. Beneath the Eiffel, we embraced tightly, both sobbing. The tower shimmered golden in the sunlight, as if cheering for our love. Years later, Sage and I were still deeply in love. I heard about Skylar again through news of her stabbing Daniel. It turned out that in recent years, she had faced setbacks in everything she did. Even abroad, many people recognized her. She felt she was completely living in my shadow and had a mental breakdown. Giving up completely, she returned to the country. Her original intention was to return and destroy me, even if it meant her own ruin, but found out Daniel had someone tie her up to prevent her from approaching me. But one day, Skylar escaped and happened to run into Daniel, who was coming to catch her. In despair, she plunged a knife into Daniel. On TV, Skylar laughed at the camera, her eyes wild. She was surrounded by reporters, her face contorted. He wronged me. He said he loved me and would marry me. I lost everything. My friends abandoned me. It's all because of them. Because of them. She shrieked hoarsely, her voice raw. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Daniel lay on a hospital bed, his face deathly pale. He had been stabbed in the chest. Luckily, his heart wasn't hit, but other internal organs were damaged. Even if he recovered, he would likely suffer severe long-term complications. Sage asked me, "Do you want to visit him?" No. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.